Zealand seeing this amazing hangar. This is the largest single-span timber hangar in the Southern Hemisphere, and a great day for Air New Zealand, a great day for aviation in New Zealand as well. So fantastic to be out here spending some time with Air New Zealanders. But with that, happy to take your questions.
Prime Minister, do you still have confidence in Nicola Willis and both her finance and economic development portfolios?
Oh, absolutely. Nicola Willis is the best finance minister New Zealand is ever going to have. She's an outstanding person. She's an outstanding finance minister, economic growth minister. She's doing an exceptionally good job in a very tough situation, and I totally back her. I'm very, very proud to call her my friend. I'm very, very proud to have her in the role that she is. She's outstanding.
Economic growth went backwards by 0.9 percentage points. Economists were thinking anywhere between 0.3 and 0.5. How can you still have faith in somebody to manage the economy when we're looking at those sorts of numbers?
Well, I think what you've got to understand is New Zealand's a small country and it's a trading nation, and we get smacked around out there in the global, churn of what's happening in the global trading environment. We're a country out there where 1 in 4 of our jobs are tied to trade, and what you saw was when Liberation Day came through, there was a huge loss of confidence and sentiment around the world, but also here in New Zealand as well, because there's uncertainty, and as a result, businesses don't invest and people don't spend their money. The good news is that that's in the past. We're growing now. We're projected to grow more strongly going into the next quarter, and importantly, you've seen different economists say we'll grow faster than Australia over the next 2 years.
Nicola Willis said that she had a conversation with you about your confidence in her. Could you give us a bit of a sense of the tenor of that conversation?
Oh, we talk all the time. We talk continuously. We're very good friends. We're very good partners.
Conversation where she asked you about your confidence in her in that portfolio.
Oh, no doubt in my mind. She is doing an outstanding job. I want her to carry on as Minister of Economic Growth and also as Finance Minister. Oh, it was a very short conversation. Nicola, you're doing a great job. You got my full backing, full steam ahead.
Why do you think she felt the need to ask that question?
Well, her and I talk all the time. We talk about what more can we be doing.
You don't talk about her performance like that all the time, though, do you?
No, we talk about what we can do together to actually get this economy growing, and Nicola's done an outstanding job of actually getting our fiscals in shape in terms of that's led to low inflation, lower interest rates. It's going to get the economy growing. It's ultimately what's going to get people back into employment again, which is fantastic. But we also keep talking all the time, what more can we do? And you've seen us do that. Nicola and I coming forward with the $70 million investment in the Major Events Fund. Think about the investments that we're doing around fast track, around investment boosts. Policy from Nicola to say, look, how do we power up our manufacturing and encourage businesses like this, large, medium or small, to make investments in plant, capital and equipment.
Roger Douglas this morning said the contraction of the GDP was sending New Zealand bankrupt by failing to get to grips with our ballooning fiscal deficit and public debt. He went on to say that Willis is not up to the job and not up to the job. Yeah, what's your response to that?
Absolute rubbish. Nicola Willis is the best person to be Finance Minister and Economic Growth Minister in this whole country. She is absolutely outstanding. I see how hard she works. I know what she's wrestling with. She has inherited the biggest recession in 35 years. We've inherited the longest hangover of COVID from any Western country. We've inherited a situation where the last lot ran up the debt 3 times and we write out a $10 billion interest bill each and every year and have nothing to show for it. So she is cleaning it up and she's doing an exceptionally good job. And I don't think there's a single New Zealander that could do a better job than Nicola Willis.
Prime Minister, how...
Yeah, it is. I mean, we're working hard. Let's be clear. We got an inheritance which was the biggest recession in 35 years. We got the longest hangover from COVID of any Western economy in the world. And we're dealing with a really challenging global trading environment. And despite all of that, we have a plan to take New Zealand forward. You're seeing that. Lower inflation, lower interest rates, economic growth projected to come strongly over the coming years, and unemployment peaking and coming down. And importantly, what we're doing is also, you're seeing it already. Part of New Zealand is recovering well. Part of New Zealand is growing strongly. Go to the South Island, go to the rural economies, go to the primary industries who've had record years. We know it's tougher here in Auckland and also in Wellington, and we're putting extra things in place to make that grow as well.
How does it go with GDP?
Sorry?
How does it go with GDP?
Well, GDP is growing strongly now, and it's growing in Q3 right now, where we sit today. That's historical data from Q2. As you've seen, it knocked confidence and sentiment around the world, but also here in New Zealand because of uncertainty around tariffs and what that would all mean. New Zealand's got a strong export-led recovery. You've seen us this week announce the UAE free trade deal coming into fruition. That's a $500 billion market with 90% of its food imported. Huge opportunity for New Zealand exporters. They're doing a very good job. So we've got a great future ahead of us, but there's no doubt about it. We're cleaning up a hell of a mess, and we're turning this country around. And we have more work to do, but we've got a good plan going forward.
How do you feel about Reserve Bank's performance? Because one of your predecessors, John Key, today suggested that Reserve Bank should shoulder a great deal of responsibility for the fairly appalling second quarter.
Well, I think by their own admission, they obviously got their forecast wrong. But the bottom line is, Reserve Bank looks after monetary policy. It's independently run, as you know. We look after fiscal policy. The two have to work together to get the economy moving in the right direction. There's no doubt about it, as we've been foreshadowing. April, May, June, very difficult for New Zealand, very difficult for the world, frankly, with the chaos that's caused through the tariff uncertainty. Having said that, here we sit in July, August, September, growing, and projected to grow even stronger into October, November, December.
How would you describe your relationship? How would you characterise your relationship with Reserve Bank leadership, especially given all the volatility that they've had with changes in personnel? More leaving, quite a lot of Russians. How is your relationship with them?
Well, it's exactly as it should be. And they act independently about monetary policy. We obviously have formal engagements, before any announcement on interest rates. I don't get told what those announcements or decisions actually are. We have an exchange of views around the economy, as I've talked about before. But we respect the independence of the Reserve Bank. The good news is that there's still 42% of New Zealanders that are yet to refix their mortgages within the next 6 months to get the benefit of the cuts that have already happened. And we project that there'll be further cuts between now and Christmas. When New Zealanders with an average mortgage can get back $330 a fortnight into their back pockets, that's a lot of money to be spent in the economy going forward from here as they refinance their mortgages. Well, we've got $7 billion worth of construction projects up and running with shovels in the ground before Christmas, which we've accelerated. Today, we're launching the $1.5 billion Melling Interchange project in Wellington, and you're seeing a huge investment going into infrastructure. You've got a pipeline now that's $237 billion, $125 billion of it funded. There's been a big step up in actual infrastructure projects. But, infrastructure and construction has slowed down in New Zealand because when you run inflation up as high as the Labour government did, and when you run interest rates up as high as the Labour government did, for construction projects, for development to take place, high interest rates kills that, and that's why you see huge booms and huge busts through the cycle. But but look at the projects happening here just in Auckland. Our fast track legislation yesterday in Nelson, you saw a big housing development, our second fast track project come through. You've got the wharf extensions at Auckland Port, which is fantastic. You've got level crossing projects that we announced recently in Auckland as well. And we've got a lot of development above the CRL line, which is fantastic as we densify residential and also commercial activity around that.
So you're well into your tenure now, and you're still blaming the Labour government for economic growth. Granted, these figures were retrospective. You've also blamed Donald Trump as well. Shouldn't you be taking some sort of level of responsibility for economic growth?
Well, we are.
With the mantra, economic growth was the mantra, and yet here we are seeing the economy go back by almost a full percentage point.
Yeah, what I'm saying, we are. We've taken responsibility for the economy from day one. I remember talking to you when I was in opposition saying, hey, listen, there's some amber lights on this dashboard. This previous government needs to get inflation under control. Otherwise, there's a huge power pain coming to New Zealand. And that's exactly what has transpired. So I appreciate it's a difficult thing and it's a challenging set of circumstances that New Zealand has inherited. But we are doing, we have got inflation under control. We've got interest rates down. The economy is projected to grow, well over the coming years. We're projected to grow 240,000 more jobs in the next 4 years. New Zealand, you're seeing it. It's a two-speed recovery at the moment, but it is coming to the other parts of New Zealand. If you're in the South Island, Christchurch, rural industry, rural sectors, primary industries having had record years, that part of the economy is doing very well. But I acknowledge in Auckland and Wellington it's been challenging.
International peers, we're starting to lag behind. Is that acceptable to you?
Well, the point is that we had strong growth in Q1, strong growth in Q4 last year. We hit Q2 with a real bump and the brakes went on hard as they did because I said a loss of confidence and sentiment. A small country like New Zealand gets smacked around big time by the global trades winds. But, we're growing now and we're going to grow even stronger from here.
And when will we know who the next Reserve Bank governor is? Nicola Willis said very shortly.
Very shortly, very shortly. You'll know within weeks, yeah.
Do we know who, can you give us an indication as to who it is?
No, we'll make the announcement when we're ready to make the announcement, which will be in a few weeks, yeah.
And you did talk, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
How long do New Zealanders have to wait for recovery, or is it just going to keep seeing more economic downturn?
No, the results that you've seen yesterday are talking about April, May and June in terms of economic growth. Sitting in July, August, September, where we are now, we know the economy is growing. We know that it's projected to grow even stronger into the fourth quarter of this year leading into Christmas. And as you look at the economists, they've projected out and said in the next 2 years, New Zealand will grow faster than Australia, and also that they're projected to grow about 2.7% on average over the next 4 years, and creating 240,000 more jobs. But what we're dealing with is the biggest recession we've had in 35 years. And that has happened because when you don't run the economy well and you don't control spending, you've led to high inflation, high interest rates, and that's put the economy into recession. And when an economy goes into recession, people start losing their jobs. And that's why I say if you care about working New Zealanders, you have to run the economy well. In addition to that, we're doing the things like fast track, we're looking at planning reforms, we're looking at an investment boost to encourage businesses to invest in plant, capital and equipment. We've got major events funds happening to try and stimulate the local economy, and we're doing all of that consistently with our long-term plan. So New Zealand has a fantastic future. Yes, it's choppy. Yes, we're coming through a massive recession and coming out of it, and we're having to pooper scoop and clean up the mess that we've been left behind, but we're working our way through that, and there are much better days ahead of us for sure.
You say that those infrastructure projects might help address some problems in construction and deliver some relief to that sector. Now, manufacturing is down 3.5%. How is the country going to fix that?
Well, one of the major things we've done on manufacturing, and we put in place, if you remember, going into early June, was what we call investment boost, which means that manufacturing businesses, in order to make more profitability, to improve their margins, to improve their efficiency, can spend money on plant, capital and equipment, whether that's new computers, whether that's new machinery that helps them produce more efficiently. And as a result, they can write off 20% of the value of that asset in the first year. And that is actually something that we've seen start to come through in some of the July and August numbers as we saw businesses start to invest in were incentivised to actually move their investments into their plant and into their own operations. So, that's a great example where, Nicola and I have come forward with an idea that is about incentivising small, medium, large businesses to invest more in capital to try and get more growth happening in those companies and obviously more opportunity for people.
Earlier this week, the economist Brad Olsen said one of the problems we have is we have no idea how skilled the people who are leaving New Zealand are. So whether we've got 60 or 70,000 people, however many it is, leaving for Australia, we really have no idea how skilled they are. And therefore our skills strategy is a bit out of step. What is your assessment of that? Do we need better stats, especially around the skill level of the country to inform economic policy?
Well, look, I think the first thing I'd say on net migration is, the numbers we've had in 2024 are the same numbers that we had under the previous government in 2023. And if you look at the average over the GFC, 2004 to 2011, it's about the same as what we're seeing today. So, the numbers themselves, I appreciate people were talking about it, but just to give you a little bit of context about how they fit with our historical levels of net migration. With respect to skills, we've got an immigration policy that I think is constantly dynamic, constantly wanting to attract people to New Zealand with those skills. You're seeing a huge focus from this government with educational reform. The reason we're taking on structured literacy, structured mathematics and primary intermediate, the reason we're replacing the NCA qualification is to make sure we can home grow our own Kiwi kids and build more skills into them so they can access higher paying jobs and power the economy we want to have going forward. So it's partly about education and it's partly about our immigration settings.
Is everything okay in the regions? Because Nelson yesterday was staring down more job losses in the local country with the consolidate things up here. Experts said it's the worst kind of job losses in the Nelson region. So things aren't well.
Well, I'd just say I'm aware of, there's challenges with some major employers, in Nelson in particular. But if you go to Christchurch, if you go to Otago, if you go to Canterbury, if you go to our rural communities, if you go to our primary industry sectors, if you go to Hawke's Bay, if you look at what's happened across dairy, red meat, across horticulture, they've had record years. And the reason is that they're exporting in huge quantities around the world. And so, it feels different. There is obviously more work to do, but you're seeing those economies, they are growing and they are experiencing growth. It's been two-speed, as I've said, because we've got challenges here in Auckland and it's coming last to Auckland and Wellington.
Regions like Nelson isn't surging that much. So can the regions like Nelson still sort of help that one?
Well, in terms of we're making sure that we're growing all of New Zealand, but I'm just saying to you is, there's no doubt about it. And go talk to people in primary industries who've had record years. You've got farmer confidence the highest it's been since 2017. You've seen that with Rabobank data. You've seen that with Federated Farmers data. So that's positive for New Zealand. It's agriculture and our primary industries powering us out of this recession. Our real challenge is to make sure that we see growth coming through in Auckland and Wellington. Part of that will be as 40% of New Zealanders refinance their mortgages and get the benefits of those lower interest rate cuts, but also we're powering it up with more infrastructure investment, fast track, investment boost, more trade, more investment, all of those good things as well.
Prime Minister, one more time for good measure. Nicola Willis, safest houses as finance minister?
Absolutely. Outstanding individual, outstanding minister, best person in the whole of this country to be leading New Zealand through the economic challenges.
She will be delivering the budget come May 2020.
Absolutely. She's outstanding.
Prime Minister, you had a chance to chat with Nicola Rapshaka.
With who?
With Nicola Rapshaka, the next chief executive of Air New Zealand. What advice did you give her?
Yeah, look, we caught up and we had a chat a few weeks back on, I gave him my thoughts on my experience, leading the airline. It's a fantastic company. It's a really challenging business to run. A small airline from a small country in this part of the world is always very challenging. But really it's just trust your instincts and make sure you build great commercial business, make sure that you have great customer satisfaction, and importantly, you build a great internal culture.
Qantas had a pretty impressive financial result, and they've also announced the big expansion of both domestic and trans-Tasman. How concerned should Air New Zealand be about that, given its relatively lacklustre financial?
Yeah, look, I'm not going to talk about Air New Zealand. I'm no longer the CEO, but it's a great company, and we really want that they'll continue to grow, and they're key to opening up markets around the world, and also a key to bringing tourists here to New Zealand as well. Okay.
Last one, guys.
Sorry, last question. Yeah.
How do you see Air New Zealand fitting into the economic plan? That has the aviation plan
Yeah, we've got an aviation action plan, which is about making sure that we can accelerate. You've seen a support package that we've put out to regional airlines to keep regional connectivity across New Zealand. But, this is a country that has an outstanding tourism proposition. And when you see rapidly rising middle-class folk across India, China, all of the Indo-Pacific region, they now have more discretionary money than they've ever had. And as a result, they want to travel. And New Zealand's the best country on earth to come and visit. And so, Air New Zealand and all of the airlines, frankly, have a big role to play in terms of bringing tourists to New Zealand, and they do that job incredibly well, and we expect to do more of it going forward. Okay, team, have a good day. Thanks so much. See ya.
See you.
Looking out this way.